Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving if you were living in the US. We had our turkey dinner yesterday and we went for a nice long walk, and we drove to a different part of town and went for a nice long walk, and it was really beautiful, and we had a great time. So I hope you had a great time. Some of my family, actually most of my family's in Canada, so Thanksgiving is always a little weird for us because we live in the US and most of our relatives are Canadian. So it makes for a very weird Thanksgiving because Canadian Thanksgiving is in October. So we did have a nice Thanksgiving, but it's a little quieter probably than some of you that live in the US. So today I decided to go ahead and do my usual video tutorial. I wasn't sure how many of you are on here or were going to join me, but I see that there are a few of you on here, so I'm happy to be here. So last week I did I used Andes mints, which are pretty available, I think, in Canada and the US. I'm not sure if they're available in Europe, but these Andes mints, and they come in a container, a box like this when you take off the packaging. And last week I mimicked that design and I made a half box to hold the Andes mints. So this box from last week holds 14 Andes mints. And so I had a few comments that I know some of you wanted to make a box that was a little smaller because you had to make a lot of them and you wanted to have a smaller size. So this week, this is a quarter size box. So this holds a quarter of the mints in one of these boxes that you buy at the store. So it holds a quarter of that. So for every box that you buy at the store, you can make 4 little boxes. And in a minute, I will open it up, slide it open. Not when it's vertical like this, because that's not really a good idea. But I will open it up and I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. So it's just a cute little slider box, and I will have a project sheet for you. And I actually finished it yesterday. Here's the project sheet with steps all broken down. And then what I also did, and I did this for the half box as well, is I did diagrams for you to scale so you can figure out how to like cut everything. And it should be this handy guide for you. Once you've done one, I feel like you can pretty much do many of them. The first time you do it, it's just, it looks complicated, but if you can follow instructions, you can absolutely, totally do this. So I believe in you. Just follow along, follow the measurements precisely, and you will be able to do that. Okay, good morning. I see a bunch of you are on here. That's so awesome to see you. So I'm going to switch over to my other camera so that we can get a better look. I just want to point out today I do have a host code going, and I do have a special for the month. And if you spend $50 with me this month, or for every $50 you spend, you will get to choose one of my retired stamp sets. And I have a whole list that you can choose from. And these are stamps that were wood mounted and now they are unmounted, and they are cling mount. They are beautifully trimmed, lovely stamps. And so I've already received a lot of compliments from the stamp sets I have sent out. So I feel really confident that you'll love yours when you get yours. And if you absolutely don't want a stamp set, no worries. I'm going to send you a surprise embellishment at the end of the month. So as I'm going through here, if there's anything that you want, jot it down on your wish list. I'll talk to you about the products that I'm using and as I go along. And I will switch over to my other camera right now. Of course, for some reason, here we go. I was like, where is my camera? I don't think I had it plugged in, so let me just see if this is gonna work. There we go. Okay, good. For a moment, it wasn't working. Okay, so let's take a quick look at these slider boxes. So you push this out, and for this one, the little end piece, that little buffer piece, like on the big box, it comes on this end. For this box, it's like this. So I turned it a little bit, and the reason I did it is because I wanted to get that candy cane on there, and it would have not been quite as good if I had done it this way. Also, slider boxes tend to be kind of long and narrow with the slider going this way rather than in the other direction. So it just made sense to turn that around a little bit. So that is how, look at how they compare. Aren't they cute? They're both really cute. One thing you will note is that I did take, I'm just going to pull this out, this candy cane and this candy cane. I made the candy cane a little shorter to fit this box. You could have the long candy cane. It will just stick out a little bit more. But that is what it looks like. Then let's take a look. So this is the Sweet Candy Canes bundle, and that's what I used to decorate both the quarter box and the half box. And when you buy this as a bundle, you can save 10%. I do know that this bundle will be retiring, officially retiring December 1st. So if you want it, please do not wait, because sometimes either the stamp set or the die set will sell out before the end of the catalog cycle, and they won't be getting in anymore. So if you want this, maybe you don't have time to make them for this year, but for next year, make sure you get them now, because I would hate for you to be disappointed. Now, the only thing that I'm using, this is the mini pocket envelope dies, and the only thing I'm using out of this die set is this little stitched oval. You can see it on here. So if you want to use a different tag on here, it's not necessarily essential to here. It just fits this little greeting really well. So so if you want this for another purpose, then definitely this makes just an adorable little tag on there. Okay. All right, those are the main ingredients. So let me shove that to the side, and let's get started on making this box. So the first thing that you're going to need is your Simply Scored scoring board. And it really is worthwhile to use a scoring board for this rather than a trimmer, because there's so many scores on here that you'll want to use a scoring board. And once you get a scoring board, you'll be like, why didn't I have one sooner? If you like to make 3D things. Okay, so let's start off with the base measurements. This measures 7 3/4 inches by 4 5/8 inches. And we're going to start with the short side up at the top, and we'll score at the 3/4 inch mark, 1 1/2, 3 1/8, and 3 7/8. Turn it to the long side. Now we've got a whole bunch of them, so get ready. 1/2 inch, 1 1/4 inch, 1 3/4 inch, 2 1/2, then 5 1/4, 6 inch, 6 1/2 inch, and 7 1/4. Leave this up here with the long side up, and then we're also going to score just to the first score intersection right here. Put your finger right under that first score line, and just score to, on the 3 inch mark, just score down to your finger, and then just mark this right here, first score intersection, and we're going to score at the 4 3/4 inch mark, just to that first score intersection. Let me angle this in the light. My light's not so good this morning. But you can kind of see that. Let me turn on one more light. Okay. Maybe that's a little better. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see how it just came down to the first score intersection. Okay, now we're going to turn it to the other long side, and we're going to do those two short scores again at the 3-inch mark and at the 4 3/4 inch mark, just to the first score intersection. So that's what it looks like. That's what your piece should look like. It's got a lot of score marks on it, but that's okay. All right, now let me show you how you prep this piece. So the first thing you're going to do, make sure your long side is facing you. Let me pull this up. I'm going to fold over my little diagram right here. Okay, this is my little diagram right here. We're going to do all of these cuts on the long side, okay? So we'll just start on one end, long side facing you, and you're going to cut down to the second score intersection. On these shorter ones, just to the first score intersection, and then the second score intersection for all of these. So start on one side and just start cutting. So the second score intersection, then this short one is just to the first score intersection. And you probably would remember to do that because that score line doesn't go all the way down. And then after you've done those two short ones, then go back to doing the second score intersection. So this is pretty logical so far, right? Okay, so you've got all of those cut, and these ones are short, and you do the exact same thing on the other side. You can do this on the trimmer, but I feel like you'll be happier cutting it freehand for this because there are so many cuts and you'd have to do so much lining up that you might go a little crazy. So I think for this one, hand cutting all of these is a little easier. It's a little faster maybe. Okay. So if I did it the same way as last time, we've got these little short score intersections. Okay, so now we're going to do the horizontal cuts, but I'm going to turn it this way to cut it, obviously. But in my diagram, I'm going to do this. That's not working too well. Folding over the diagram so that you can see exactly where we're at. Okay, so these are the little horizontal cuts that I need to make now. Okay, so we're going to do these ones first, these little ones where it was just the first score intersection. So I'm just going to come in and do those ones first. I'll have to kind of come in with my scissors, do a little cut, and then probably turn it like this, cut, come in like this. The precision, there's a way to put your hand that will make your cutting easier, and you just need to figure out what that position is. And once you've done a few of these, it will be muscle memory. Okay, so we've got these little tabs cut. Now let's do all the outside corners. So we're going to do down to the second score intersection. Let's see. going to fold up the ones that we need to cut. So we're going to do the outside ones down to the second score intersection, and we're going to skip one and then do the one that's right next to it down to the second score intersection. Okay, so you can see that. So we'll start on this and we'll cut, and then we'll come in here, probably bend this down is a little easier, and come in and cut this one down to that second score intersection. Okay, then we'll skip over to this side, cut there, and cut along there. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing for the other side, cut that end piece off. This one we're going to do underneath. That end piece off. And then like that. And so those shaded pieces, those are what come off of your piece. And then you are left with this one. That's what it looks like. And oh, we've got to do one more little cut here. See these little end tabs? I forgot to do those ones. So on these outer ones now, after you've cut out these ones, this tab right here needs to come down to just one square sticking out. So just grab that and do the outer ones, one square. That's why I have the diagram there. It's there for comparison. So just compare your piece all along the way, and that way you'll be able to troubleshoot. Okay, so if your piece looks like this on the diagram, then you know you're good. So we just need to do one more thing, and that's this. So you see right here in between these pieces, we need to do some angle cuts, and they are labeled in blue. Put that down there, pin that down. So the angle cuts. So this long piece right here, that's 2 blocks long, just angle cut it right there. And angle cut this one right here. And this just helps your piece come together. I'm going to flip this over and do the same thing for the other side. Okay, and then I'm going to flip this over to this side and do the angle cuts on this side. And if you get lost, refer to your diagram. And then we need to do this one, so I'm going to flip it because I'm more comfortable cutting in this direction. And then this one. All right. Just want to even that out a little bit. That looked a little crooked. Okay. Perfect. So I have done all of those cuts, and it looks like my diagram. So now I can move on. And we want to fold this piece. And I'm going to start right kind of on the inside here, and I'm just going to come along with my bone folder and fold all of these pieces inwards. I'll do the same for the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll do this one. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and then we've got these tabs right here. This one gets folded in. Everything gets folded in except for one thing that gets folded back. But if you fold it in the wrong direction, it doesn't matter because you'll be able to fix it later. But these little guys right here, on the very end, they get folded in the opposite direction as everything else. That's the only thing that gets folded in the opposite direction. So you can flip that over then and just give it a little burnish with your bone folder. As I'm doing this, if I notice it didn't fold exactly right, that straight line, I'm lining it up with my other score line. I kind of always do that because sometimes it pulls towards one direction or another. Okay, so now we need to bring this piece together. So have the long side facing you. We're going to do glue. I'm going to show it to you first without glue. So if you have the long side facing you, count over 2 score lines, 1, 2, and then we're going to fold on this 4th one that's right next to here. So we're going to first fold at the 2 score lines in, and then we're going to put glue right here, right on this line right here. And then right next to that, we're going to fold over like that. Okay, so let's do it for real this time. So count over 2 score lines, 1, 2. You're going to bend right there, and then put your glue right on the end right here. Just put 1 line of glue right there. And then you're also going to fold right there next to that tab. Fold both of them over. And then use your bone folder and smooth down right on there. And when you push back, it creates that box. Okay, so it creates this box right here. That's on the bigger packaging. That's what you're creating. You're creating that box end. So I'm going to turn this over to the other side because I like to work on my right side. So again, count over 2 score lines, 1, 2. Fold this over, a line of glue on that end piece, and then we're also going to fold right along that score line right there and bring that over and then push that down. Burnish that with a bone folder that helps the glue adhere, and then pop this back, and here we go. We've got our little piece ready to go. Okay, so now we need to bring these pieces in and these pieces in. Okay, these are the little tabs. It will help the whole box kind of stay together. And then these 2 outer tabs right here, I'm going to put glue. And I just want to make sure I get glue right to that outer corner because that needs to stick down. And if there's no glue right there, it's not going to work too well. All right, so we're going to bring this around. This tab comes up, and this one's tucking in right here. And then this tab right here needs to stick, so you're going to need to push down a little bit with your thumb, not too hard because it's hollow here, but just give it a little push. And then tip this on its side and use a bone folder and press down right here. Okay, so we've got that first side of the box, and then you've got all these little things and they get pushed flat. And then we'll put Tombow here. Make sure there's some in the corner right there. Okay. And again, we're going to bring this around. And one thing just to note, you want to make sure that the ends of your box right there line up with that score line. Take a little moment to make sure it lines up, and make sure this inside piece will also help you kind of determine how everything goes together. And then just gently push on that corner there, not too hard because it's hollow. And then use your bone folder and press down on the side and the inside like that. Okay, So now we need to steal some Andes Mints from my bigger box because I only bought one package of Andes Mints. And that was by design because Andes Mints are really, really good chocolates. And it's amazing that I haven't eaten any of them yet. These are the peppermint bark ones, or like the peppermint crunch thins. They are really good. And if you start eating these, they will all be gone. I would have had to buy another box. So I had to keep myself from eating them. So those just fit right in there like that. 7 of them fit inside here. So that is a quarter of the box. That's why it's called a quarter slider box. All right, let's make a little cover for this. And sorry I had to steal from the half box, but a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. All right, let's create a cover. We're going to do a garden green cover. And the colors I use for my boxes are either a real red or garden green. So I've got my scoring tool back here. The slider box is 5 3/4 by 2 7/8. Put the long side up at the top and score at 3/4, 2 1/2, 3 1/4, and the 5-inch mark. And then we'll fold this along the score lines. And one more time. And then fold over one of the end tabs. It doesn't matter. This piece is symmetrical, so just choose one of them. And we're going to put Tombow on the end tab that is folded over, and then we're going to bring this piece over so it lines up. So it's actually second score line in, fold this over, and then I can glue this flat. You could also glue this while it's open, but whatever. The 2 tabs on the end overlap to create the slider. That looks like this. Okay. This slider is snug. Okay. It is designed that way. You don't want it too loose. You don't want it too tight, but it is just about perfect in terms of staying power because you want this not to slide off. All right, so then we just take a piece of designer paper. Now this paper is also retiring. If you get the Sweet Candy Canes bundle, pick yourself up a couple packages of this paper because you will not be able to get it afterwards. What I love about this paper, real red and garden green feature prominently on these papers. And you get 2 pages of just candy canes. So if you're lazy like me, like I was yesterday, I had to cook Thanksgiving dinner, so I didn't have a lot of time to stamp and do all of that. This has 2 pages of these candy canes, which can be die cut with these candy cane dies, and they go in both directions. So it doesn't matter which one you choose, you will be able to have some candy canes, or you can stamp them. You can also stamp them if you get the die set, and you'll want to get the die set so you can get that cute little greeting, or so the stamp set so you can get the cute little greeting. You can stamp these and die cut them, or you can use this paper. And see, this paper has stripes on the back, so I just cut a little piece for the top of my box, and then I'm going to grab my candy cane paper too while I'm at it. So this little piece measures 1 5/8 by 2 and 1 5/8 by 2 3/4. Okay, and then I'm just going to glue this to the top of my box. There's just a tiny little bit of cardstock that peeks out on the 4 sides. You just center it, but it adds just a little bit of texture to the top. Now we need to pick a candy cane, and I'll just use the next one that's available. So what I like to do is I like to rough cut out my candy cane, because I don't want to accidentally cut a candy cane while I'm die cutting. So, and I just want to keep my page whole as possible while I'm doing this, so that when I tuck this back, there's not a whole bunch of smaller pieces. And so this is my rough cut candy cane, and now I'm going to take the die and we're going to die cut it. Oh, also, before I bring this out, this is the Mini Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. We're going to use that today. We'll need a piece of scrap paper. Just grab one here. And I think we're going to stamp in Real Red. I've got both my Garden Green and Real Red ink pads. These are like your traditional Christmas ink or colors. So I'm using this cute little greeting. Stamp it in Real Red. It says candy cane wishes and mistletoe kisses, which is perfect for a mint themed candy box. Put that away, that away. So let's go ahead and die cut these. So this is the mini stamp. This is the mini, I call it the Mini Boss, Mini Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. And it comes with a platform, I think it's the #1 platform that they tell you to use for the bottom. Well, if you've tried to use it for the bottom and it's too tight, like I've heard with a lot of machines, I would suggest use the #3 plate instead, and you will be so much happier and it will work wonderfully. So I am using the #3 plate instead as my base, and then I've got my 2 clear plates. One goes on the bottom, and then the other one, I am just going to position this. I'll use some labeling and cover up tape just to keep this from slip sliding around. And you just kind of need to check to make sure. I'm used to doing this on my big machine, so I have to get used to this little die. Okay, so I am now going to die cut this candy cane, run it through my little Mini Boss. This is a really nice travel machine as well. Okay, so I'm gonna slide this off, and there's my cute little candy cane. This is the remnants of the candy cane. I can throw that out. So I need to make the candy cane a little shorter. So you can do that in one of 2 ways. You can go ahead and just snip your candy cane, which works fine, but it has a little bit of a rounded edge. So the other way you can make this smaller is you can, if you want to, I'm just going to line up my candy cane and make it a little smaller. I'm about 1/2 inch from the bottom. So this is the trick with this. First of all, you need to make sure it's like catching on the edges of your paper so that it is lined up. I'm going to just pin that down so it doesn't shift. Now the trick is you can only go in part way and come back out, okay? Because if you go all the way, you're gonna do bad things to your candy cane. So I'm just gonna go until I can, you know, about there. It's gone through the roller, and then I'm gonna come back. Now, fingers crossed, see? Pull this off, and now I've got a rounded candy cane bottom. So you don't have to do that. You can just cut it straight with your scissors. But if you want the little rounded, just try it on the machine. Oh, before I put this away, I do need to cut my greeting out with the oval. Here it is. Let's go ahead and do that. And this is pretty easy to cut out with the oval because you just want to make sure you just position this so that you can see all of the words. It fits perfectly inside the oval. That's why you want to stamp first and then die cut. I find that's a little easier in this case. we go. Look, so cute. That's like the perfect little oval. And that oval again was from before I forget, it's from the mini pocket envelope dies. All right, sorry guys, just slid, the plates just slid right off of there. I didn't take care, sorry. All right, I actually am going to use a different candy cane because I want a little color. This was the next candy cane on the paper, so I used it. I probably would use this one on a red box just for a little contrast. If I put it on this one, it's going to look a little dull. So you keep that in mind with the candy canes, you know, give them a little contrast when you're doing it. Okay, we're going to use some of this matching lovely real red and garden green ribbon combo pack. I believe this is also retiring. I did not look this up today, so maybe I have a chance to do that at the end. So we're going to use the real red, and so I can put this on my instruction sheet. I'm going to actually measure my ribbon this time. So let's see. We need about this much ribbon. Let's measure this. About 10 inches of ribbon you will need. I'm going to cut at the 10-inch mark. Just double check this. Yeah, it's about 10 inches. 10 inches, and then I can add that to my instructions sheet, the length that you need. Okay, so we're just going to wrap this around here and just make sure your ribbon is straight. And just a knot is on one side. You can always shift the knot too. Oops. I've got a lot of stuff going on today. Tweeze that up. And then we're going to just create a knot. And the reason I'm using my tweezers is so that it holds the knot in place while I tie it. Oh, isn't that cute? All right. Slide that back. And I want to angle cut it in the same direction as all the other ones. This ribbon ties really nicely too. Okay, so the candy cane just goes ahead and tucks in there. Or if you want to, you can use like a mini glue dot or a little tiny bit of glue to hold it in place if you don't want it to shift, but I just tuck it. And then this little guy, in order to stick this on, what I like to do is this is a 1/8 inch handheld circle punch, which we no longer sell, but you can find 1/8 inch circle punches almost anywhere, and or use a crocodile, the small punch on a crocodile. And I'm just going to punch myself a little hole, a little tag hole right there. Okay. And what I like to do, making my life so much easier, I hate to thread the tag through here and then do the tie. It's not fun. So instead what I do is I just cut through from the edge to my circle, and then I just see that kind of creates like that little opening, and then I just use that to maneuver it around move that off for a second. It just opens up the tag. Oh my gosh, this is not hard to do, but I am making it look very hard today. It's because now I'm thinking about it. There we go. You just slide it over the ribbon. And then it really actually holds quite well because those two paper pieces, they kind of form. If you tug on this, it will come off, but if you tug on any tag, it will come off anyway, right? So that just helps it, stay on there without me having to feed it through and then tie it. It's just a little bit easier. And then the last thing we're going to do is grab some iridescent rhinestone basic jewels, one of my favorite embellishments. And I'm just going to add a couple to my tag. And I could have done this before I put it on there, which probably would have made it a little easier. But I just added just a couple of the smaller, just to kind of give it a little bit of bling and sparkle. So that's all there is to it. Let's bring out the other ones. So I've got some different colored candy canes, just so you can see. These are all ones that I die cut from that paper, but of course you can stamp them. And last week I did stamp them. So here are a couple that I made, the half boxes I made last week, and these ones I actually stamped, so you can see how pretty they can be. You get a little bit more creative in terms of your color choices if you can stamp them, right? Because if you can only die cut them, then you kind of have to go with the colors that are already existing. But say you had like a different shade of green or red, or you wanted to do a different color of candy cane, right? What about a blue candy cane, or what about a pink candy cane? Then you have options, and you just would stamp, then die cut, and then you either trim or you use the die to make these a little shorter. And you can barely tell that, like, the candy canes still look good even if they're shorter, right? Because there are shorter candy canes, so they still look good. So that is it, the quarter size box for those of you who want to make a lot of these and want to have the smaller one or the half size one. So aren't those like super, super cute? And Andes mints are a nice chocolate. So, and there you get, even this one has 7 in there. So that's a nice number to have inside a little box. So what did you guys think? That project sheet, by the way, you need to be on my email list to get it. And this gets sent to you as a PDF on Saturdays. I always send them out on Saturdays the day after, because as I am demonstrating, there's always something that I need to change afterwards, and sometimes I don't have the video link on there. So that's why I email them out on Saturdays. And a lot of people really love these because then they don't have to copy down my directions as I'm talking about them. They can just use that as a guide. Once you've seen me do it once, you should be able to do it on your own with the project sheet. So as I mentioned before, I do have a host code this month. And so for every $50 you spend, you can choose one of my stamp sets from my stamp set page for free. And there's no shipping on those. I mail them out from here, and I ship them first class. And I think I mailed a big batch off at the beginning of this week, and I got a couple emails today telling me that they received their stamp sets. So I will be doing them in batches as people order, so you won't have to wait till the end of the month. Now, if you choose instead to go with the surprise embellishment, then you will need to wait till the end of the month, because I use the host code to order all of them, and then I will send those to you in December. So I just wanted to point that out. What else? I am going to read your comments. How about that? Good morning, Marty and Pat and Janine and Amaretto and Deborah and Jean. It's nice to see you, Gina. Jean, good morning, Amy. I hope you're feeling well. Amaretto says she loves the treat boxes that I do. Well, thank you. Good morning, Donna. Good morning, Ramona. And I have people from all over the place chiming in, so I love that. Marty says, so cute. Good morning, Gina. I'm sorry it's raining in North Carolina, But I hope your Thanksgiving day was a nice day with no rain. And Gina says she loves this little box. Awesome. Thank you. Gina says she really likes this size. Oh, that's great. I'm glad that someone chimed in. I hope you always feel comfortable to chime in if you see a box that I'm making, you want me to make it in a different size. I love working with measurements. I don't know, like maybe not too many people like that, but my favorite part of the whole process is the actual design. It's not even the decorating up afterwards. That gives me some joy too, but it's like the measurements, like coming up with the box and how it all goes together. That's my fun part. Sometimes it takes me a while to get there, but that's where my brain fires. I love that part. Okay, good morning, Kelly. And she says she loves this. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Good morning, Ramona. And she says very, very cute. And she says she loves her mini machine. It's awesome. You know what? I had that mini machine for almost a year. I used it once, and I used it with the regular platform, and I had so much difficulty with the number one platform. And we had a promotion, I don't know, maybe it was last year, I can't remember, with the mini machine. And I do business training, and I said, how am I going to promote this? I do not like this machine. And someone chimed in and said, you know why you probably don't like it is if you just switch out your two platforms, instead of using number one, use the number three. It's going to be life-changing for you. And it was. I switched to the number three instead of the number one, and everything went through fine. The number one platform, at least for my machine, maybe not for every machine, is a little too thick. So when you're going through it, you have to stagger the plates, and it becomes problematic. But I do love the machine now. And it's a great portable little machine. It makes me very, very happy. So I'm glad you love yours too. Ramona calls her the Mini Boss. Great name. You know what? I heard that from someone else, and I'm like, I love the Mini Boss name because it's kind of like having a small dog. Small dogs they're very, sometimes they can be a little fierce, not like in a bad way, but just they know they're small, so they have to like make themselves like look a little bigger. So, that's what the Mini Boss is doing. It's like, hey, I'm a fierce machine, right? A small machine, but it's mighty. Good morning, Ellie. Oh, you like how I decorated the box? Well, thank you. That's great. Good morning, Robertson, Educational Resources. Stuart. Hello, Stuart. I'm glad you're with us this morning. Ramona says she really loves that red and green together. Well, what's not to love about traditional red and green? You can always default back to that. If you've tried out your other color combinations and then go back to red and green, everyone knows where they stand with the red and green. It's Christmas colors, right? Jean said, beautiful boxes. Thanks so much for the detailed construction run through. Very doable. Well, thank you, Jean. Ramona says they are both just so cute. Thank you. Marty says, does the paper have candy canes going in different directions? Yes, and in the same color. If so, you could glue them back to back. Oh, that's a really great idea. Yeah, it does, because I'm trying to think. Yes, because this one, if you turn it around, you would need, okay, I keep losing dies today, like seriously. This morning I lost one of my candy canes, and I was ready, one of my candy cane dies, I was ready to go live without my extra candy cane die, and I was just gonna say, I'll find it later, it comes with two. So when you do this, okay, so Marty's saying you could, so if you're cutting this one, the cut side down, and then if you were to cut this one, right, then these two will be back to back, okay? Because the hooks go in opposite directions. So you could theoretically glue them back to back. So if you have a design where you need to see both sides of the candy canes, you could do that. That's very cool. I didn't even think about that. So yeah, like, you know, you've got you've got a partner one that you can use for all of them. That's a great idea, Marty. All right. Ramona says, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I did. Thank you so much. Stuart says he loves the boxes. Donna says she loves this little box. The towering boxes behind you are almost touching the ceiling. Ha ha. I know. Those are my paper pumpkin boxes. And I have to say, my craft studio is a bit of a disaster right now, and I really need to go through and clean it up. We started house hunting maybe 2 months ago now, and it's incredibly hard in this market. So every house we look at, you know, we do a lot of work on the computer before we even decide to go see a house. So we analyze each house that comes on the market in our price range with our parameters, and we analyze it to death. And it takes up a lot of time. If you live in a hot market, or like in a market where there's very low inventory, we're in Boston, it's really hard, and it has sucked up a lot of my time. So I am still doing all the things I normally do, except for cleaning up. My room is just, every single area of this room needs to be gone through and tidied up. And I just never seem to get around to that part. So maybe today I'll have some time to do that. I know, as soon as you have a clean work surface, or I get a clean work surface, it gets covered again. So crazy stuff going on here. Yeah, that towering, that needs to go, Donna. Maybe you need to come down from Canada and straighten me out. That's probably... Ramona says she saw that too. Well, I'm going to have to clean that up. It depends where I put my head, right? There we go. Now I'm covering it. You can't see it. But you can see my Canadian flag now, right? On my wall. All right. Ramona says she thinks she would like to use real candy canes. That's a good idea. You could do that too. Absolutely. Laura says she loves my 3D projects. Thank you, Laura. Marty said you could also make ornaments out of the candy canes. That's a really good idea. I love that. So, my project sheet's coming out tomorrow. I hope you guys have enjoy the rest of your weekend if you're on a long weekend in the US. And if you're just as normal in the rest of the world, I hope you have a great weekend as well. Keep in mind that Sweet Candy Canes bundle, it is retiring as well as the paper. So if you want them, make sure that you get them now before as soon as something, we know it's retiring, but December 1st, that's the official retirement date. And then for some reason, that's when things go crazy. And then all of a sudden things sell out. And then people are disappointed. So don't let that be you if you want that bundle. All right. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.